Well, good evening, everyone. I am up today for the Fast Four at 4, and so I want to start by doing an announcement about our CARES funding. In collaboration with the Department for Local Government, Governor Beshear is announcing 22 Western Kentucky governments were approved for $14.9 million in CARES reimbursement. Those counties include Callaway, Davies, Hardin, Hopkins, and Todd. And the municipalities include Beaver Dam, Bonneville, Cadiz, Cave City, Central City, Fulton, Hartford, Henderson, Hopkinsville, Litchfield, Lewisport, Mayfield, Morton's Gap, Muldra, Oak Grove, Owensboro, and Scottsville. This crucial funding will help with necessities like PPE, cleaning supplies, telework equipment, assistance with first responder payroll, and COVID testing sites. So we appreciate our local leaders and want them to know that they deserve our support during this time. As a rural Kentuckian, I know that communities big and small are what makes Kentucky special, and communities of all sizes will help us to build a better Kentucky. All right, next up is the Team Kentucky Fund. I want to bring attention to 3 areas that have pots of money that are waiting and need applications from Kentuckians who qualify. They are the Owensboro area and the counties that surround Louisville and the Big Sandy area. The counties that are listed on the screen are the specific areas where we really need some applications for the Team Kentucky Fund. To date, over $900,000 worth of aid has been given directly to Kentuckians through the Team Kentucky Fund. If you have been impacted financially by COVID-19, please visit teamkyfund.ky.gov to apply. If you would like to donate to the Team Kentucky Fund, visit donate.ky.gov. And remember that this gift is tax deductible and 100% of the proceeds go directly to support Kentuckians who have fallen on hard times during the pandemic. Number 3, there is a lot of anxiety and nervousness in the air with us either having returned to school or getting ready to return to school. And so I wanted to show some positive images of our schools and even some of our athletic teams and how they're doing the right thing, and how if we do things the right way, we can hopefully get back to a little bit more of a sense of normalcy around Kentucky. So the first picture I have is from a sideline on Friday night. That is the East Jessamine High School football team. That's my friend Mike Bolin is the football coach there. And you can tell that they are distanced on the sideline, and all of those players are wearing masks and doing the right thing the right way so that they can continue to play football. The second picture comes from DuPont Manual, and that is a picture of the DuPont Manual Dazzlers show. They are showing that they can do their routines and practices in their masks and stay healthy at school. The third image that I want to show is from Boone County. This is the Boone County High School Freshman Orientation. And I am sure that it was really good for them to be back together, and they did it the right way. You can see that in the picture, everybody's spaced out and being responsible. Another image is a friend of mine. Her name is Jenny Ward Bolander. She is a teacher at Henry Clay High School. I'll go ahead and say the governor's an alumni of Henry Clay. He always says that. She actually took her students on a virtual field trip this week to the steps of the Capitol to talk about Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. and how he led the March on Frankfurt in 1964. So that's an example of, even though we're not in the most ideal situation here as teachers and students, we still have teachers going above and beyond to create real experiences for their kids. And last but not least, I'm going to take you to the big city of Bergen, which is where I grew up. This is a picture of Bergen Independent School System where they have developed homemade hand sanitizing stations to place around the school system. Those were developed by students, and they're putting them around the schools to make sure that everybody can continually sanitize their hands and stay healthy. So that's a great example of kids pitching in to do the right thing to help their fellow students. So those are some good positive stories coming out of our public schools as we gear up for a return. Number 4, the last one of our 4 at 4 is a good example. It's the Kentucky School Boards Association partnering with the National School Boards Association and the Educational Foundation. They are donating 80,000 cloth masks to our public school students. The KSBA donated those masks directly to our Family Resource and Youth Service Centers, which is a division of the Cabinet for Health and Family Services. If you don't know this already, I don't know how our schools would function without our Family Resource Centers, and so it's great that the School Board Association was able to partner with them in doing this. In this picture, you will see Carrie Schelling, who is the Executive Director of KSBA, and Melissa Goins, who is the Director of the Family Resource and Youth Service Centers. And I'm going to take a personal point of privilege, because since I don't get to do this every day, and call this the 4 1/2 at 4, and talk just for a second about voting, because I'm going to introduce someone who is going to tell you a lot more in just a minute. Just want to make sure that we talk about voting and how important that is, making sure that our voice is heard at the ballot box, and that you have a say in the direction of your community, your state, and your country for years to come. In response to the COVID-19 pandemic, we have state and local election officials that have worked really hard to make voting easier than ever before by providing so many ways for Kentuckians to cast their ballot. So to give you more of an update on this, I would like to introduce Secretary of State Michael Adams.
Thank you, Lieutenant Governor. Good afternoon. I'm Michael Adams, your Secretary of State and Chief Elections Official. I'm just going to give you a quick update on our election process for November. I'm also going to turn over to Jared Deering, who is the Executive Director of the State Board of Elections. Either we have a video or he's going to explain to you precisely how to fill out an absentee ballot. We're working on that right now. But let me give you a quick update. First, I want to reiterate that we're doing for November very much similar to what we did for the June primary that worked so well, that enfranchised so many people, that led to a historic turnout, that led to no spike in COVID-19 cases, which is we gave the voters options. Governor Beshear and I agreed that the best way to ensure that we had a successful election and a safe election is to give voters choices. So you have the same options that you had in June. You can vote on Election Day in person. You can vote before Election Day in person. You can vote by absentee ballot and mail it in, or you can vote by absentee ballot and bring it back to your clerk and drop it in a drop box that we're providing to your county clerk. So 4 options to vote. I want to walk through the deadlines for these various options. The first deadline to keep in mind is the deadline to register to vote. By statute, that is October 5th at 4 p.m. That's the deadline for you to register with your county clerk, or you can go to govoteky.com. This is a great website. At govoteky.com, you can register to vote. You can check your voter information and make sure that it's timely and accurate. Maybe you moved, maybe you changed your name. Check at govoteky.com and make sure that your information is correct. You can apply for an absentee ballot. Even better than that, you can track your absentee ballot the way you track an Amazon package. You can apply there. Of course, you have to prove your identity, but you can apply for an absentee ballot, and then you can go on that site 24/7, punch in your information. It'll tell you if your county clerk got your application, if your county clerk has processed your application and sent a ballot, and whether your county clerk has got your ballot back, so you know it's been received and counted. The last thing on this site that's really great is you can volunteer to be a poll worker. So far, our office through this website has recruited 4,500 poll workers. That's 4,500 of 15,000 it normally takes to run an election in Kentucky, but that's a big step. Normally, there's no statewide recruitment of poll workers. Obviously, we have a crisis trying to substitute a lot of people who can't do it this year because they're of advanced age, people that we're encouraging to vote absentee, let alone not show up at the polls for 12 hours. So please visit govoteky.com and volunteer to be a poll worker. Our county clerks are in the process of preparing their plans for the election, and they need your help, and they need it right now. So October 5th at 4 p.m. is the deadline to register to vote. October 9th is the deadline to request an absentee ballot. Whether you're asking your clerk for it, whether you're going to govoteky.com, October 9th at 11:59 p.m. is the deadline. Why are we doing this? Well, last time we only had about 8 days between closing the portal and Election Day, and that's awful late in the game for people to process these ballots out to you. You vote your ballots, and then get them back in time. So this time we opened up the portal much earlier, but we're also going to close it earlier. That incentivizes you to go ahead right now while you're watching this. Go to govoteky.com. If you're going to vote absentee, if you're concerned about COVID-19 because of your age, your health condition, we encourage you to take advantage of this. It's for you. Go to this website, govoteky.com, request that ballot, and do it soon. The sooner you ask for it, the sooner we can get it to you. We're going to close that portal on October 9th, and then you've got 2 more options to vote. Starting October 13th, all day during business hours on weekdays, every single county in the state is going to have in-person early voting. There's no excuse needed for this. There's no appointment needed for this. Just vote. Just show up and vote. All day, every day, 5 days a week, plus we're adding Saturday hours. This is going to be the most convenient election we've ever had. This is the most voter-centric election we've ever had in Kentucky history. You can vote on Saturdays. So October 13th, we have 3 weeks of early voting, and then, of course, Election Day from 6 to 6, and we're seeing precincts reopening around the state. We're not going to have every precinct open. The best way that you can vote this year, if you can, is to vote in person before Election Day. Don't lead to us having long lines and people hard to manage social distancing. If you can vote early, please vote early. That's your best option. But vote absentee if you want. One last point, and I'll turn it over to Jared Deering with the State Board of Elections. Don't delay. Most voters are pretty opinionated. They know who they're going to vote for. So go ahead. Go ahead and request your ballot, and when you get it, go ahead and send it back. The faster that you return that ballot, the sooner we're going to have election night results and results that are final for the candidates and the voters. So again, thank you, Lieutenant Governor Coleman, and thank you for your attention. I'll turn it over to Jared Deering. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Secretary. Thank you, Lieutenant Governor Coleman, as well. My name is Jared Deering. I'm the Executive Director for the State Board of Elections. I'd like today to kind of briefly go over what you might expect when you receive an absentee ballot in the mail. So after you go to govoteky.com, if you choose to vote by absentee mail, you can go through the portal at that website, govoteky.com. Once you apply, you'll be able to, like the Secretary said, you'll be able to check the status of your ballot on the same website, be able to go back and determine when it's been sent to the county clerk and sent out to you. When you receive it in the mail, you're going to receive a ballot packet. It will be 3 envelopes. One outer envelope, a middle envelope, and then an inner envelope, what we call a security envelope. You'll also receive your ballot and ballot instructions. We highly recommend that you read through the ballot instructions first. Then you take your ballot out, you mark it. Please bubble in everything effectively. We recommend that you use either a pencil, a blue pen, or a black pen. At which point, when filling it out, make sure to bubble it in correctly. If you make a mistake using a pencil, erase it completely, and then mark and bubble the selection that you would like. If you're using a pen and you mark the wrong choice, bubble in the choice that you do want, and then circle it around that choice to mark your voter intent. When you're completed with that, you're going to fold that in half. You're going to place it inside the yellow or security envelope. Please leave the flap that is on that envelope on. Do not detach that flap. On that flap, you will find a place for you to be able to sign. We recommend that you use a signature that closely represents either your driver's license signature or your voter registration signature. But please try to reference that signature when signing it, because that is what county clerks utilize when verifying your signature. Sign and seal that envelope. Make sure to seal it completely. You're going to take that yellow envelope and then put it in the inner envelope. That inner envelope needs to be sealed and then also signed on the outside in the top left-hand corner. Please, again, use that same signature that you used on the inner security envelope. And then you're going to be able to have multiple options at this point. Kind of like the Secretary was saying earlier, you can put that in the United States Postal Service and have them deliver that. Counties will also accept that they're at their office or in a drop box that will be conveniently located within your county. You'll have to reach out to your county clerk to determine where those are located. Counties will be receiving the first batch of ballot labels this week on Friday, which means that on Monday, the individuals who have already applied for their absentee ballot will start receiving those in the mail. So similar to what the Secretary was recommending, we are highly recommending that as soon as you receive this ballot, that you cast it, that you follow the instructions, sign and seal both envelopes, and that you either put it back in the mail immediately or come and drop it off at the county clerk's office immediately. Do not wait until the last day to send these back in. While yes, Election Day, November 3rd, you can return that to the U.S. Post Office. You absolutely have to, as long as it has a postmark on the envelope. But we highly recommend that you take advantage of casting that ballot early and checking that ballot early. Also, because this election, we are trying to make sure this election is both secure and safe for you. One of the reasons why we ask you to cast that ballot early is because if there is a ballot irregularity, if you have mistakenly cast that ballot in error, the state will be able to reach out to you. We'll either be sending you a letter, an email, or a text message if you give us your phone number on the portal so that we can notify you of the error and then give you an opportunity to be able to cure whatever that irregularity is so that we can make sure that your ballot is counted effectively. Having said that, I am highly encouraging individuals to utilize early voting as an option. For the first time in our state's history, we're going to have 3 weeks of early voting, including 3 Saturdays. This is an important opportunity for you. I know a lot of people, it's important for them to be able to cast that ballot in person. This is the exact same process as voting on Election Day. It just happens to be over the first 3 weeks prior to Election Day itself. It's really important that you do this, and we're urging this specifically because, similar to what the Secretary was saying, is that it is a really safe option for you to take advantage, to make sure your ballot's been counted and cast effectively, but also to do it in a way that protects your community so that you can social distance safely, that you can show up and not have to be in lines. And then for individuals that ultimately do vote on Election Day, we're not going to force them to stand in lines that might be too long. So again, govoteky.com is where you can find information. We'll be sending out training videos and information both on social media and through traditional sources. Please look for those. And of course, always come to our website if you have any questions. I'd also like to just make a reference that, you know, there's a lot of misinformation out there. There's a lot of people and third-party organizations that are putting information out there. Not everything is correct. We are highly recommending that you utilize trusted sources. So that means coming to the Secretary of State's website, coming to the State Board of Elections website, the governor's website and information that he puts out in his press conferences as well. Please utilize these sources to inform yourself on how to appropriately and effectively cast your ballot. Thank you again. Appreciate your time.
All right. I want to thank the Lieutenant Governor for kicking us off. I want to thank the Secretary of State and our head of our Board of Elections for doing a great job. I mean, we are in the midst of a pandemic, and they have made voting easier and safer than ever. I think we've done something here in Kentucky that isn't just a model, but ought to be the envy of the country because we can get along. And it just starts with wanting to do the right thing. So both of these gentlemen are a credit to this Commonwealth, and we greatly appreciate your work. Today, I am representing Ann Mason Elementary in Scott County. Their staff sent me this, saying they want to do everything that it takes to keep their kids safe. It is a great mask, and we appreciate all of those at Ann Mason. Thank you for your hard work. Today, I'm going to get to start by noting 3 new appointments, one of which we have here today, and I'm going to do that third if I can. First, I've appointed 2 new county judges across Kentucky. County judges have, in my lifetime, never been more important than right now in the midst of COVID-19, requiring local leadership to keep people safe, to get through difficult times, to communicate with their community, and to prepare it for a bright future. So congratulations to Leslie Stith, who is the new County Judge Executive in Meade County. I'm very excited for the leadership he is going to show. I can tell you, having known him for a while and talked to him the other day, I'm not sure anybody loves Meade County more than Mr. Stith. And in LaRue County, Blake Durrett is going to be the new county judge there, bringing a new generation of leadership after County Judge Executive Turner, I know, has led LaRue County for so long. And today, we have a new CEO of the Kentucky Lottery. I am proud to announce the appointment of Mary Harville as President and CEO of the Kentucky Lottery Corporation. This was my appointment confirmed by the Lottery's Board of Directors at a special meeting held earlier today. Mary is a homegrown hero here in the Commonwealth, has been working with the Lottery since 2004. She had a career in law, which I hear is a good career to move into later jobs. but has been involved in just about every iteration of the lottery since '04 in an area and a space that is evolving and has become more and more important. This is an organization that has created opportunities for so many of Kentuckians through their scholarships, and every year keeps doing better than the year before. But being the dad of a son and a daughter, Mary's also broken a glass ceiling here in Kentucky with this new job, being our first woman to serve as CEO of our Kentucky Lottery. And let me just say, it took far, far, far too long. But because Mary is so qualified, is taking over this job, and I know will do a great job, no one will ever have to worry about being the first again, because she is not only blazing this trail, but is presenting such a great example to the rest of us. So she is here tonight, and I'm excited to introduce to you it's one of the most important figures here in Kentucky, our new CEO of the Kentucky Lottery, Mary Harville. And I'm going to clap.
Thank you, Governor. I am so excited to be here today. I've been in this rotunda many times, but I've never been in this spot. So I am just thrilled to be here. And Governor, thank you so much. And thank you to the Kentucky Lottery Board of Directors for selecting me to lead the Kentucky Lottery. I am so proud to be a lifelong Kentuckian. And I am so proud that I attended and graduated from a Kentucky university. Go Big Blue. I'm sorry. It just slipped out. And I am so proud to have been a part of the Kentucky Lottery these last 16 years. For those of you who may not know it, Kentucky Lottery proceeds are the sole source of funding for the Key Scholarship. And I wanted to see what Virginia would do with this number, but Kentucky Lottery funds have now been awarded in the amount of over $3.8 billion to over 820,000 Kentucky students, including my two sons. So it is just a tremendous thing that we do every day, and we have just had another record-breaking fiscal year. We've got a great team at the Kentucky Lottery in place right now, and I'm so proud to be a part of that team, and we just want to continue to keep building our rich history. So, Governor, on behalf of the team at the Kentucky Lottery and myself, I want to let you know that we are very excited to continue our mission of fueling imagination and funding education. Thank you so much.
I know I get to make appointments, but you can all see that Mary earned this job in probably many, many years before she assumed the role. So exciting things going on in Kentucky. And we say this a lot, but we are doing a lot, whether it is infrastructure, whether it is new leadership, to make sure we are prepared for a post-COVID world. Because as I got to say on a call with business leaders today, these times, while they are difficult, at the end of every crisis, there's a new world in front of us. And at the end of every crisis, things change, and change dramatically. So why not let them change for the positive here in Kentucky? Why not leap ahead of other states in so many areas that we want to? Why not build the future that our kids deserve and I know is possible? The end of this, once we survive it, is going to be an opportunity to write our future and write it in a way that we have always dreamed of. We do have to get through COVID, though, and today we are reporting 628 new positive cases. 76 of those are for kids 18 years and younger. Brings our total number of cases to 59,370. And good news, we are still below 4%, and our positivity rate at 3.82%. So again, a couple of notes. It means that we have significant testing going on. It means our positivity rate is going down, which is a good thing. But remember, it's not because we are testing folks that we do better. It's because of our actions. It's because of social distancing. It's because of wearing a mask. We believe that mask mandate is working, and without it, our numbers and our positivity rate would significantly go up. Let's also remember that while 628 cases is lower than we've had on many Thursdays, it's still a sad and difficult equation that our number of cases times our mortality rate equal the number of Kentuckians we lose. So we want to bring that number down, even with our positivity rate coming down. So today, I'm sad to announce that we've lost 11 new Kentuckians. They include people that are loved by their communities, by their families, and what we see is we lose people throughout all age ranges. Today, we've lost an 84-year-old man from Franklin County, a 70-year-old woman from Davis County, a 75-year-old man from Fayette County, a 78-year-old man from Davis County, an 83 and a 93-year-old man from Fayette County, a 90-year-old woman from Madison County, a 76-year-old woman from Jackson, an 82-year-old woman from Jefferson, an 83-year-old woman from Webster, and a 77-year-old woman from Madison. So sadly, we don't just see this overall loss, now 1,093 individuals, but we see it all across Kentucky. If you don't think you know someone that we've lost because of COVID, I'm not sure you've talked to enough people around you. It's touched everybody now in multiple ways. So let's stop denying it, and let's do what it takes to defeat it. You know, the first way that we solve a problem is to recognize that there is one, and then we commit to doing the right thing. And I know I have to say this a lot with 70+% of Kentuckians doing the right thing each and every day. We just want to increase that number from 70 to 80 to 90 or even more. You know, I remember growing up, I'd come home and my dad would say, "How'd you do on the math test?" And I'd say, "I got 19 out of 20 right." And he'd say, "Well, what happened with that other one?" So we got to keep working because not getting it all right now isn't just a math test or part of a relationship with a parent and a child. It's people's lives that are out there. It's people's health. It's our ability to keep our economy open. You know, we see people saying open the economy. It's open. It's about us being able to manage the virus that keeps it open. So if you were supporting things that prevent us from managing the virus, you would close the economy. So let's just make sure that we are supporting the type of efforts that will get us the result that we want. New cases by county: 89 in Jefferson, 54 in Christian, 52 in Fayette, 34 in Warren, 33 in Madison, 28 in Davis, 18 in Union, 16 in Ohio, 15 in Hardin and McCracken, 14 in Laurel, 12 in Henderson, 11 in Callaway, 10 in Barron. A couple other areas that we track that there's been some additions to: long-term care facilities, 56 new residents, 31 new staff, 3 new deaths, 2 new facilities have had at least a positive. Again, we were able to alter the way that we report this so that you see the active cases and so you see the total cases. And you know, this is an area where we've lost a lot of people. It's nowhere near the only area that we've lost people. It will be under 50% here in the next couple weeks. But when you can see the total cases, you also see the amount of recoveries, and the amount of recoveries from those that might otherwise be fragile. And that shows the hardworking staff, our hardworking frontline healthcare workers. And look at the number of staff. I mean, our staff know going into these facilities that they may be exposed, and how many of them are, yet they still do it. I'm proud of them. It's incredibly brave, and we appreciate them. K through 12 schools, since the last time we reported, 7 new students, 1 new faculty or staff, 3 new schools with at least 1 COVID case. Obviously, this is working up to September 28th, and that is when we're looking for schools to apply that new color-coded system the Department for Public Health put together in consultation with others. Colleges and universities, 13 new students, no additional faculty or staff, one new Kentucky school represented on there. As always, you can go to our website, kycovid19.ky.gov, and that will, again, show you the longer form reporting. It takes time because everything is confirmed on those. It fills in by school, whether it's active or whether it's not. All right, with that, we had a lot of news today. We appreciate all the additional information on voting. We appreciate the Lieutenant Governor's updates and excited about these new appointments and new leadership in the Commonwealth. I think we started with Debbie on the right yesterday, so we'll start with Nick on the left today.
What are the challenges when dealing with getting numbers from long-term care centers? And are you seeing delays in those centers, especially privatized ones? Are you seeing delays in getting that information from them?
We have a reporting process in place for all of our long-term care centers. Sometimes our numbers might be a couple days behind others because they also go through the local health department, which may have those earlier. Certainly, if we have lost someone in a long-term care facility, it's got to go through a committee for us where we have to gather certain documentation before it is recorded. I want to say for the most part, well, by and large, not for the most part, by and large, we have had long-term care facilities have been responsive when there's been a problem. Does that mean that there haven't been times where we've had to get more aggressive in calls? Sure, there have been, but that's all across the board with everywhere we have dealt with. For the most part, we have seen groups wanting to be open, and boy, they need to be, because in one of these facilities, once you have one case, the ability for spread is significant, and the level and frequency of communications are significant. Catherine?
What are your thoughts on the maskless protest at the Capitol today and your concerns about potential spread for coronavirus there?
Question is on the maskless protest today. Today what we saw, and I think it was intended to go along with the Supreme Court argument, is individuals that were gathered. Were any of them wearing masks? I'm not sure. I think 0 people were wearing masks, and there was no social distancing. And you know, the argument being made by the side they support in the Supreme Court argument was you can just, I mean, Kentuckians know and understand that they need to wear a mask. There doesn't have to be a mask mandate. Well, there were 200 plus Kentuckians not social distancing without one today. So I think without intending to, they showed how important it is. Because while folks that were out there today may say, I'm okay if I get it, I've made the choice, they can also spread it. And there's lots of people around them that they will come into contact with that could be hurt from that. And none of them made that decision. So I don't mind if they disagree with me. I would just like them to take the steps to protect their fellow human being. If they want to get out there and protest and speak out against decisions we've made, again, that's okay. But do what's necessary to protect the person right beside you. Do what's necessary to protect the parent of the person who is going to go who's going to go home. And I saw at least one sign that suggests they watch and hear, whether they agree or disagree, what we report each night, and that's important because I at least want them to have that information. Karen?
Yesterday, we talked a little bit, and you said you were going to meet with the Board of Elections today, and you said you'd be willing to offer any help needed if a clerk's office were to quarantine. Were there any discussions today about plans for that, or are we not there yet?
We haven't had that discussion. It's about if we need additional help at any clerk's offices due to an outbreak of COVID, but both the Secretary of State and Mr. Deering are here, and they've got my commitment that whatever resources that they need, we'll bring to the table. I know they'll call if they need it, but also they know that if they need it, we're going to provide it. So we haven't had those discussions, but to my knowledge, we don't have any other issues that have arisen. And let's credit all those that came together in Fayette County to resolve it almost in a matter of hours. I know lots of people were involved. Linda Gorton, the mayor, texted me and said, we're on top of it and we're going to fix it. And however it was fixed, she was right. Stu? Sure. Come on up, Mary. The question is for our new lottery commissioner, and if you would just repeat it so those watching can hear.
I'm happy to report that we've actually done very well through coronavirus because what was happening as the virus progressed was we saw a shutdown of many of the forms of competition for lotteries, such as the casinos that we have across the river. And then we also saw our staff really step up their efforts at the retailers that we have, and our retailers really were our partners in this. And fortunately, they remained open and essential suppliers to our consumers. So our avenues to be able to still sell tickets remained open, and we of course, had our own effort to make sure that folks were social distancing, and our retailers knew to put the symbols down on the floor to keep folks apart. So I am happy to report that we ended the fiscal year very well with another record-breaking year, and we continue to do very well.
That, of course, means more financial assistance to our kids, especially those in need. Let me answer one of the questions here. Where is the state in the process of sending out the extra assistance received from FEMA? This is the extra $300 from the federal government, $100 we're putting in from the state for those that qualify for what we would have called that extra unemployment. So it's going out in 3 phases based on its size. One has already gone out, one is going out tonight, and the other is in the next several days. So our hope is that it is all out, well, we're near the end of this week, by the beginning of next week. Can we please clarify when the color coding system for schools should begin? Answer to that, September 28th. Tom.
This week you announced that restaurants and bars can stay open an extra hour. Are there any other capacity changes that are going to be in the works shortly?
The question is, do we have any other capacity changes in the works shortly based on adding an hour to restaurants and bars? So we have to look at the overall number of contacts in the state as we adjust those, and they're about to go up significantly, both with sports, high school sports, and as we're about to see, children resume in-person classes in many parts of Kentucky on September 28th. Because of that, we are not likely to increase capacity at different areas until we can ensure that we can not only get kids back in the classroom, but keep them and the faculty, all of our hardworking teachers, safe. So we want to make sure that we are not increasing their risk by increasing other capacities at the moment. We want to make sure that we get that right, and I know everybody wants to make that happen once it's safe. Joe?
This is a question for you, and I don't know if the Secretary of State's still here, but
He is.
Democrats unveiled a few proposals earlier today regarding the election, and I want to get your thoughts on a few of them, including making some of these processes for the November election permanent, like more early voting, no excuse absentee voting, those sorts of things. What's your general take on those bills and possibly making some of these procedures permanent?
Sure. The question is the House Democratic Caucus, and I just saw a list that was handed to me as I came out, made some proposals today. They want to raise in the General Assembly. Some would require constitutional amendments, or at least it looks like, but a lot of it is about making some of these changes potentially permanent. I will say from my standpoint, they've worked really well. And I think once we are through this November, hopefully we can look at them as not helping Democrats or Republicans, but just helping people vote and making it more convenient for everybody. And I don't want to speak for the Secretary of State because he's going to come up and speak, but I think what you hear is a lot of prognostication or speculation on who gets this or who gets that, but at the end of it, everybody likes the convenience of having multiple forms of voting. And I want to give him credit. The second highest turnout ever in a primary during your first year as Secretary of State, or maybe I should say during my first year as governor, is a pretty big accomplishment.
Thank you, Governor. I have not seen the legislation that's been proposed. I saw a reference to it on Twitter. I did get a heads up this morning from Representative Rachel Roberts that they were going to announce something. I didn't know a lot of specifics. I still don't. But let me say this. I actually, even before the pandemic, offered legislation to make it easier to vote in this state, to extend our polling hours, to have vote centers. This is before the pandemic. To have vote centers so that a resident of a county can go to a central location and vote without regard to precinct. Every election, I've seen this for 25 years I've been in politics, people go and vote, they try to vote at the wrong precinct, and then they don't get to vote. This is what happens when you have a precinct-based system. Technologically today, we can now have vote centers where anyone in the county can go vote, and they can't go down the street and vote somewhere else because it's all instantaneous recorded electronically. We didn't have that for 200 years, and we couldn't have the option of multiple places one person could vote, but now we can. So that was something offered on a permanent basis. Expanded absentee, not no excuse, but expanded absentee is something that I offered legislatively before the pandemic. I think there's a lot of stuff that we can do. My package I offered had bills excerpted from both Democrats and Republicans in the legislature. There's nothing that's Democratic or Republican about making it easier to vote. It's just putting the voters first, which is what I've tried to do. So I can't really comment until I have a chance to see it. I will tell you a couple things I think we should definitely make permanent. Number one is the portal. The portal allows the voter maximum convenience. It allows the clerks more convenience. It also makes it easier for me to prevent vote fraud because I can see in real time what's going on with these ballots, where they are in the process. We should also make the cure process permanent. The cure process is a new thing that exists because of the governor and I using our emergency powers. It used to be if you made a mistake on your absentee ballot, it just got thrown out. Now you can actually get it fixed. That's low-hanging fruit. I do think there's a shot to get early voting expanded in person. I think expanded absentee by mail is so much more expensive that's probably not likely to be done permanently. But there's some good ideas from both sides of the aisle that we ought to take a look at for sure. Thanks.
And after today, I just want to point out I'm not the only person exercising emergency powers. Debbie. The question is, did I get a chance to listen to the Supreme Court arguments today, and how did I think it went? I got to listen to a large portion of them. I still had some other duties. My Chief of Staff and General Counsel, Latasha Buckner, argued it. I am very proud of the job that she did, not just as an attorney, but how critically important this is. I will tell you, I still can't believe that these rules and restrictions have been challenged. They are rules and restrictions that are supported by the White House, are supported by public health experts at every level, with almost 100% agreement they're the right thing to do. The steps that I've taken have been taken by just about every governor everywhere across the country. And they've been taken because they're the difference in how fast the virus spreads and how many people die. And so what I don't understand about this challenge by the Attorney General is even if he wins, we lose as a Commonwealth. Because the fewer precautions that we have that stops the spread of the virus, the more the virus spreads, and then it's a really easy equation, number of cases times the mortality rate. We allow the virus to spread more, we have more cases and more people die. Again, I see and I hear all these silly and ridiculous arguments that the governor is claiming unlimited power. I mean, I hardly leave my house. The governor will never relinquish it. I cannot wait. I cannot wait until I don't have to make choices between bad and bad. I cannot wait until we can get back to an old normal. I have not hugged my parents since March the 6th. I worry that politics and political theater seem to be controlling decisions that could have massive ramifications. But I believe that Latasha Buckner did a great job conveying the importance of it and the fact that this would leave us with no tools to respond. I mean, we would have fewer tools than any other state in the country. And the argument that the legislature was intended to respond to emergencies, we had a constitution originally where they only met every other year. And I think we can all agree that having a special session where 130-something people somehow collectively come up with decisions you got to make almost immediately to stop a virus just wouldn't be effective. And I got to tell you, I was elected. I believe I was supposed to be here for a reason, and so I've done what it takes. But if somebody wants to stand in this spot or sit in that chair during a crisis like this, it comes with more burden than I think they understand. But I think the law is clear. I think it's both a constitutional power where the governor is supposed to respond. It's the one branch of government that can. And there's a whole chapter of statutes that the legislature passed. And so the argument that, well, the legislature should do it, sure, but they already passed a whole a group of statutes to, I don't think it pans out. So I'm hopeful. Obviously, the judges will listen to the arguments and they will come to the decision. That's what the Supreme Court does.
One of our listeners did get their $400 unemployment this week.
Okay.
Extra. So that's already dropped. Their question was, they didn't know, would there be a retroactive check on that as well, or does that just start now?
So the question is on the additional $400. It has been approved for the 3 weeks that the $600 ended for. So it is for that period of time. And as anybody who qualifies for those full 3 weeks should receive it for the 3 weeks, provided that all the right steps have been taken. We will have to go back for a potential 3 more weeks, which would be the maximum that would be authorized, and we're taking a look at that. So as long as they still qualify, ultimately there should be 3 weeks worth. And because Congress has not acted, we have to do this looking backwards, even now, about a month for the weeks they respond to. I will say, I think people have been really responsible with these dollars. They have withheld them as they should for their taxes, and then they have also spent them for those important needs, which is cycled through our economy, helping our budget, keeping us in a much better place than we would otherwise be. Stu?
NPR ran a story yesterday about PPE, and there was a manufacturing alliance representative who said nationally, millions short in terms of masks. So what's the Kentucky situation long term in terms of mask availability?
So the question is on PPE and shortages that we may be seeing across the country. In Kentucky, with the exception of N95, the highest level mask, and maybe with the exception of some of the highest level gowns, that's the clothing that individuals wear, we're in a better place than I ever thought we'd be with PPE. Hospitals and others have a 14-day supply, which they need, that they've got to keep as they use it, and the state, by the end of this month, will have completed a 120-day supply for any future spike. We got a big warehouse that it's in. We showed some videos of it the other day. I think it is a real success story. That and testing we have done almost exclusively on our own, though I will say with PPE, we got a lot of great corporate citizens out there that were trying to buy it on their own during the most difficult times that helped us as a Commonwealth do it too. When this is all over, we'll recognize them. I don't think they want their supply chains interrupted until then, but with the exception of those N95s, I think we're in fairly good shape. Now, I will say that we now know that PPE is a part of our national security interest, and we've got to make sure that we have manufacturers of all of the most important parts of PPE right here in the United States. We've learned what happens when they are overseas in something like this, and it's our time as a country and as a state. We'll be working to recruit as many of those manufacturers as possible. I never want to be in a situation again where I'm personally, as governor, and everybody in my office picking up the phone to try to track down if that person who tells you that they can connect you to 50,000 N95s is real, and then we're in a bidding war against somebody for it. I will tell you it was highly concerning each and every moment that was happening. I think I described it before like Charlie Brown trying to kick the football and Lucy pulling it away each and every time. I want to make sure that we got everything that it takes. Tom?
I have a question for Secretary Absentee.
I think so. If we can, then can we do the other two? And we'll let him go, and then we'll let him go. Great.
One of clarification in regards to the challenge to many of your executive orders. None of the election plans are involved in that challenge, are they?
Yeah, our election plan, our ability to do that is under 9A. So the challenging the emergency authority under that statute impacts everything. Now, they also passed it in a separate statute giving us extra flexibility, but that's also an amendment to those emergency powers. And the legislature, while they were still here in the midst of COVID, actually passed a statute reaffirming the emergency powers. It's one of those where you'll hear the argument, we were okay in the beginning, but it's gone on too long. Listen, I can't stop a worldwide health pandemic from continuing longer than we wanted. I mean, it lasts as long as it lasts, and we make sure that we survive it. Debbie?
You announced a positivity rate.
Oh, I announced that it was under 4%. It is 3.82%. Secretary of State, I know, has a question from Tom.
I signed up through the portal for absentee ballot the first day that it was live. When should I expect to see my ballot arrive?
The question is, if you've already requested an absentee ballot through govoteky.com, when should you expect to see it arrive? Can I ask what county you're in? Are you in Franklin? Okay. It's going to differ by county. I don't send out the ballots. They're not sent from Frankfurt unless you're in Frankfurt. They're sent out by your county clerk. We at the state level are printing labels to help the clerks, and we ship those to the clerks. But the clerks have their own independent contracts with printers. And so it depends on the vendor they're using. It depends on when they got their order in and so forth and so on. But the short answer to your question is we expect that ballots that have been requested will go out by the end of the month. There shouldn't be, even in Fayette County, we don't think there's going to be a delay that will push transmission of those out to the requesters beyond the end of September, 1st of October. Thanks.
And my understanding, if I can add on to that, is the ballots are being printed or have been printed, which is that first step before they are mailed out. All right, everybody, again, moving the right direction with our positivity rate. That's a good thing. Remember, we had a lot of days where it was increasing. Still need to bring down our number of cases. Had a lot of exciting news today, too, and we got to celebrate the good. Want to congratulate our new CEO of the Kentucky Lottery, 2 new county judges. We're going to get out of this. We always say we're going to get through it, and we're going to get through it together. But I'd like to think that there's a better Kentucky awaiting us on the other side, and it's our responsibility to make sure that happens. We will see you on Monday at 4 p.m. Thank you all.